Welcome everyone. I am the born teacher. Last time we talked about fires, we talked about the classes of fires. So in this lesson, we're gonna be looking out at the different classifications of fire. We have the European UK standard, we have the American and Canada standard of classification. We also have the Chinese classification. So I used an explanation, but in the classification I used the China or the Chinese standard. So in this lesson, I will be comparing the Chinese standard to the American/Canadian standard to the UK/European standard. I want us to see the similarities and the differences between those classifications. Let's get started at once. So here we have the Chinese standard. The Chinese standard, which I explained the last time, classification of fire, when we have class A, class B, class C, class D, class E, and F classes of fire. So, but just a quick one, let me just do like a brief recap of what we've done before now. We've done fires, and we have done the classification of fuel, and I said if you want to quench a fire, this is the fire triangle here. So if you want to quench a fire, you have to remove one from it's either you remove fuel or you remove heat or remove oxygen in order to stop a fire. So, and the process by which we remove it is called cooling. Oxygen is called smothering. I've corrected this, I forgot to correct it. The process of removing oxygen is called smothering, and the process of removing the fuel is called, so this is the correct spelling of the smothering. So starvation, when you starve something, like you are starving the fire of fuel. The fuel is like the food, so starvation. So now let's get started at once. So we have the price of fire here. So this is the Chinese standard. Now here I have the UK, European, and Australian standard, and in the last one here I have the Canadian/the American standard. Now I've used this black pen to distinguish where we have the differences, and I've used the blue pen for where we have something similar, where they are all the same. So to start with, I'm using this as the reference. Now this is the European standard and the Chinese standard. They are almost the same all through, from the class A to the class A, to class B to the class B, class C to the class C, class D to the class E, to the class F, to class everything the same thing. The types of fire, they're the same thing. This list is the same. Then the type of extinguisher used is the same. But the only difference is that in the Chinese standard, Chinese use E for electrical fire. They just use E. But European, they will not write E. They don't use symbol. They use symbol. They don't use any letter. They don't use E or any letter. They only use symbol. They can draw a symbol like this. Once they draw it like this on their fire extinguisher, so you know that, oh, this extinguisher can be used to quench electrical fire. This symbol is for electrical hazard or something related to electrical fire, something electrical. So now it is this American standard that has a little bit of differences. Now, where are the differences? The first thing is that now American classifier here for both this and this is flammable gases, but America does not use C for flammable gases. They use C because they take C as current, so they use C for electrical fire. As electrical fire caused by overheating damage electrical components. You get. So then the one that these people use for C, these flammable gases, America now carried it and lumped it with class B. America lumped, can you see? Class B is fire involving flammable liquid as usual for everyone, and flammable gases. So flammable gases is lumped up with class B and use DCP fire extinguisher, the same as DCP fire extinguisher that you use for this class C air. Now they use class C electrical fire, you get. Now others use E for class E fire, which Chinese use, and European their E, they don't use they don't use E, they just use symbol. So this E does not exist in the American standard. They don't have class E type of fire. So that's the first part of the differences. Now the second part of the difference is that now Chinese use class F for cooking, fire involving cooking oil and fat. They use because Chinese, they produce, they're a global producer, so probably they want to produce something. They are shipping it, they are exporting it to a country that use class K, so they will put K on it. If they are using it, exporting it to a country that use class F, they will put F on it. But they themselves, the Chinese, they use class F for their fire involving cooking oil and fat. So UK use class F. This American, instead of them using class F, this is the second part of the difference. They use K. Instead of using F, they use K. Can you see the same fire involving cooking oil and fat? Fire involving cooking oil and fat. Fire involving cooking oil and fat. And the same process of extinguishing it. So to round it up, let me just summarize something here. Now look at this summary here. Historically, Europeans and British, that is this UK standard here, they use class E for electrical fire. They were using class E for electrical fire before, this European here, but they later changed their mind and updated their standard. Why? Europeans and UK, they now classify, they consider electricity to be an initiating cause, that is, just cause it a spark, bah! Then this thing starts burning on its own. You get, the wires start burning, the socket, the extension, rather than a different type of fuel. You get, for all these ones, methane can burn, liquid can burn, alcohol can burn, metal can combust. But this fire, they don't say fire is just like a cause. Bah! It's not that it is burning itself. Hence, they remove class E from its lettered lineup entirely. On European and UK class fire extinguishers, you only see electrical test or symbol. You will not see an official class E stamp on it. You will not see E like this on it. China kept the class E. This is Chinese. They kept class E intact to make it explicitly clear on equipment labels. Now, American system does not have a separate class for fire involving flammable gases. I have explained here. They have lumped fire involving flammable gases onto their class B. It is lumped together with flammable liquid under class B. Why? Because the extinguishing method for both is the same. Smoother this chain reaction and deprive of oxygen. Thanks very much for following. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow for more. Thank you.